Cal G, and to my left is the coordinator extraordinaire.
Again.
The Popcast is the place to come to if you want to hear about the art and news of video games, comics, and movies that week.
And not pop culture this week.
Not even in the slightest.
No.
Mike, what are we doing?
Today we are doing... I don't know what we're doing, actually.
I was just wanting you to say filler cast. We're doing a filler cast.
Okay.
The topic of the filler cast is going to be an homage, if you will, to... let me take you back. Let me take you back a decade to 2007. There's this little podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it. You might not have at this point.
Little. I haven't heard of this.
Oh, yeah, it was a huge podcast.
Okay.
Being facetious, Mike. It was called One Up Yours, and it was done by the One Up Network. And it was the podcast that got me into podcasts in general, actually. Gaming podcasts of all sorts.
One of the few ones I listened to before you got me into podcasting.
Yeah, it was awesome show with 4 really charismatic guys. They had Garnet Lee, who has gone on to be part of Amazon's Game Directive.
You have to ask the question if he changed his name after Final Fantasy IX.
No, but he loved that, actually.
Yeah.
Fucking John Davison, who is now working for Rolling Stone's game division, Glixel.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, right, yeah. He was actually in charge of GameSpot for a while, and he did something in the actual game industry, as far as I know.
Alright, cool.
There's Luke Smith, legend Luke Smith, who now is in charge of designing raids in Destiny. He designed the first raid from the first Destiny.
So the only good one?
The Vault Glat?
Yeah, Vault of Glass.
Vault of Glass. Glass of Vault, whatever I was going to say. He designed that, yeah, that was all him.
He only did the first one?
As far as I know, yes. He's in charge of more going forward in Destiny 2 now.
Yeah,
as far
that's fine. It's just because the Vault of Glass was really, at the end of the day, the only...
It was the greatest, yeah, it was the one, right?
Ever since everyone was just like, this is a room.
No, yeah, he was a big part in designing that, and he was great. He actually, he got picked up by 343 to work on one of the Halo games after doing the podcast. Or he got picked up mid doing the podcast. One Up hadn't even shut down yet, and he got plucked. But he's clearly doing great work. And Shane Bettenhausen, who's now part of Sony, and I think he's part of the team who determines which games get on PlayStation. You know, like the division that who's like yes, no.
Did they have experience prior?
No, well, I mean, they're all game journalists.
Yeah, okay, that makes more sense. So they have to hook up because it's like you're going they just started podcasting and now they run the industry.
No, they all have
dreams.
No, yeah, they all had they have a lot of experience being game journalists. They were all of them worked on EGM, like the magazine. They all worked on oneup.com. And yeah, they're all really talented guys. Also, shout out to Mark McDonald, who went on to be a translator in Japan. But they had this segment. It was one of my favorites called 4-Minute Warning. And that's what me and Mike are going to do. We're actually going to be doing 5-minute warning, I believe.
Yeah.
We're doing 5-minute warning. If you don't know, that's just a topic they did where...
It's just enough to avoid getting sued.
Well, they're dead now. They can't really sue us anymore. But, yeah, it's this thing where you throw out a topic, you have a 5-minute time limit on it, and you can't talk after that. If you can't get your points in, you can't.
Yeah. And also, if you guys like this segment, we'll do it again, and you guys can send us the questions, and then we'll fill up another whole 5-minute... What was it?
5 minutes. 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
But I always just thought it was a really fun thing, especially now that we're podcasting.
Yeah.
This is something I'd really like to do. We actually stole a bunch of questions from the old One Up Yours podcasts. I went back, I listened to some, and I grabbed some of the more interesting questions, because I also think that it'll be neat to answer some of these now in... It's been 10 years. It's 2007 to 2017.
And their answers at the time were very dated. They're like, I predict that the Japanese gaming market will succeed.
Yeah.
You know, you're like, well...
Yeah, maybe not until right now.
Yeah. You got to wait about 10 years and then...
And then you nailed that prediction, Mark. Yeah. But yeah, that's what we're going to be doing this week. And then if, we might do a little fireside chat at the end. Who knows?
Fireside?
Yeah.
Like, we're going to put on a little crackle of wood in the background.
Yeah, and just talk about calming things. What life's all really about.
We'll talk in slow, monotonous voices.
Even though this is a filler cast, Mike, is there anything you want to say?
Oh, for Pens and Pixels?
Yeah, the thing will be done by then.
Yeah, well, the Schools of event will have been done by the time this comes out. And so hopefully everyone had a really good time. Send us your feedback, let us know what kind of events you guys want to see coming up in the future. And of course, we'll have the applications open for people who are interested in coming to the Artist Alley for the Capital Game Expo in Ottawa.
That's right. All right, Mike.
Yeah.
Let's get ready.
All right, so first one.
For 5-minute warning.
Interject something cooler.
Yeah, okay.
Go.
Well, I have to ask okay, whatever. Okay, first up, rumors that fooled you completely.
Rumors that fooled you completely. Well, you gotta hit on this first. I got a couple. Maybe.
Yeah, I have one. I have one immediately that comes to mind for this one. And this is in games, obviously. It's all game related. It's not just like rumors that you heard in 7th grade that was like, I heard Billy was dating. You know, no one's talking about that. Although this is still a schoolyard rumor. In that I heard that there was a truck in Pokemon Red that you could apparently get Mew under, and I was convinced you could actually do it because like. If you look, the truck is actually there. All you needed to do was get cut early, not go on the SSN. So you need to have Surf, go over there, never go on SSN, all this shit. You go over there, there's a truck, and it's just there. It's right off screen. Like, you wouldn't be able to see it normally. You could only just get over there after, and you're like, why would they put a truck here if it was for no reason? And everyone's like, oh, you gotta use strength, you gotta use cut, you gotta do this thing. There's nothing you could do with that fucking thing. Oh. But I was even after that, I was convinced that you could somehow get them. I don't know, like, I was just, like, enamored with it. That was, like, a big one for me where I was like, yes, okay.
The only one I can remember, like, right off the top of my head is there was a rumor that went around, at least in... I mean, this could not be maybe a global thing. It could have literally been in my schoolyard that they said that this was a fact, and everyone in my schoolyard said it was true.
Yep.
Oh, actually, no, another one.
Those are, like, old... Instead of old wives' tales, those are, like, old gamer tales or something, you know?
Yeah.
Like...
But my... I guess I actually have two, but my first one is there was a whole thing going around that you could get... oh fuck, what was it called? The master materials that you get when you beat fucking Emerald Weapon in Final Fantasy VII.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That you could get those really early on in the game by like bugging out and going through a part of a wall in Midgar.
Oh.
Because when you did touch it, it was the only part in the whole thing where like you would just basically kind of fall in.
Oh, you clipped through it?
Yeah, and it was like that if you went through there, it would send you to the fucking Knights of the Round Golden Chocobo area, and that was it. You could go and get
it.
Yeah, and everyone was like convinced that this was true, and all my friends were like running home and testing it out, and they were like, I got in the wall and I almost all the way through, and and then they had to use a very precise set of movements to get like through the glitch, you know, like pushing up and then down and back and stuff. Is like getting yourself through the maze of glitch that was still connected to it. Yeah.
Was it true?
Well, you could get through the wall a little bit, right? And then, like, when you get lost, if you just pushed around enough, I think maybe you clipped into something and you couldn't get back out very easily. So, whether or not you were moving around behind that wall or not, I don't know. You know, but, you know, you could clip yourself into the wall.
Oh, okay.
So, I think it was just them tying it in that, like, this was the secret passage.
This is where you could,
Yeah. Do you have a second one, or do you want me to...
You go.
Okay. My second one was actually with Magic the Gathering back in the very first... I don't even know if it was the very first launch, but this was my first knowledge of Magic the Gathering. There was this legendary card that was Lord of the Pit, and it had, its stats were like 10-10, and it had the flying trample ability, which means it could fly over things and then trample things along the way, and just, like, eviscerate everything. But there was a way that you could pick the pack of cards that had it, that, like, if you looked at the little barcode thing on the bottom of the pack, if you looked for the one that had a certain number combination, you knew that those were supposed to be the ones that had Lord of the Pit in it. So you would ask to see the card packs instead and count the numbers out and stuff.
Oh my god.
Which was complete bullshit. It was just kids looking at the numbers going, I bet you can tell. Like, you know.
Did you ever have a kid on the fucking playground who said, like, my uncle works for Nintendo? Who claimed shit like that all the time?
No.
There was a kid in, I want to say grade 7, I'm not sure. It was when the GameCube was out, nevertheless, and he was always on my side because he liked Nintendo, but he always was like very convinced that like he's like Grand Theft Auto was coming out on the GameCube, and I'm like, I never read that, and he's like, my uncle works for Nintendo. I'm like, why are you lying to me? I'm your only Nintendo friend. I'm your only Nintendo friend.
Oh, so you mean someone who lied about it? Yes.
Well, yeah, it was a rumor. Yeah, he was a rumor, quote unquote. But yeah, like
I had friends who worked for like who had dads or uncles or family members who worked for whatever. And of course they knew better, right? And I did have one that turned out to be true, that like they did work with a game company, right? But he was like a financer. Like, he did like no knowledge. Because like when I met him, and I'm like, oh my god, so what is it like to make a game? What do you do to make a game? And he's like, I just do the books. I'm like, that's like my whole hopes and dreams and connections to the industry died that day.
What's a Cloud Strife?
He didn't know anything about gaming too. He was just like, I don't even know what they do.
Well, yeah. So that was like a truth wrapped in a lie, I guess. Yeah.
So technically, yes, they did work at it, but yeah, no, those are basically the lies that I've had.
I also heard a rumor that there was going to be ghosts in a Resident Evil game at some point, and there never were. Maybe until now, but I heard it when I was a kid.
Oh, Resident Evil 7, you mean?
No, I heard rumors it was going to be like, it was like back when Resident Evil 2 came out.
Oh.
And there was talk of ghosts in 4. There was actually a demo they had. That's all we got.
That's it.
And that's it.
All right.
All right, next up.
Oop.
You're fucking running this podcast on the ground, Mike.
It's supposed to ring twice.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
All right. Is all set up?
Yep.
All right. What would you do if you weren't in the art field? This is a hard one.
You have thought about it though before.
Not even really.
No?
No. Because throughout my entire life, I've always just been an artist. I've always just drawn, and people have told me, you should be an artist, and that's always what in my head, that's always what I thought.
Like, reframe the question. Like, what would you do if you could never do art
if I was never an artist?
No, but like, artist as a job, because graphic designer counts, right? Like, an artistic career, or just, you were just never drawing. You were just a non-drawing person.
Yeah, if I'd never drawn before my life.
Okay.
I like cooking a lot, you know, maybe some sort of chef of some sort, you know, working in probably a low stakes bar.
I could see you running a bar.
It'd be kind of cool.
Or not a bar, but like a drink and eatery kind of thing. Yeah.
A coffee shop would kind of be cool too.
Oh, I could so see you in a coffee shop.
I'd like that a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like art's always been just such a main driving force in my life. I can't imagine. Like I don't even think I'd be involved in like movies or games at all because my interest in those lies mostly in the
visuals,
the visual of it, not really the. I mean, I like cinematography. But
yeah,
I would never
like story, but like it's more just like pretty.
Actually, you know what? I've been really enjoying editing the podcast, and I've been really enjoying the video editing I've had to do for work. In the last little while, I might maybe a video editor of some sort, or just an editor. You know. I do really enjoy that.
Yeah, so I have two things that would stream off. So I have like my creative backups if they counted, because like in my thought process, I'm like, does that count or can I not allowed to do anything? Well, I think
like video editing counts because it's not drawing necessarily.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like in my head, I'm like, if I had to get out and I was still in the same industry, there would be the writing would be a big one.
Oh yeah.
Like I would love if I actually had a bone of writing in me, where I sat down, wrote a paragraph, and cared about writing the next one. Like. Yeah, I would totally be down with writing inside of like just any industry except for like business writing, obviously.
Yeah. Well, like fiction, like nonfiction.
Yeah, like
comics,
books, comics, you name it. Just becoming the writer.
Screenwriting,
scripts, all of that. That's all very interesting to me. I love the stuff and I love reading the stuff. I'm just not much of a I have so many ideas and stories in my head, but I prefer like visually executing them and then having a writer write it all down. You know, and be like, this is my idea for a story and these are my panels, and they're like, oh my god, I'll write that all out for you. Like I've been through that process. But I never want to be that guy now. But if I lost the artistic instinct, I'd probably
let's just say that like we were both this is a alternate timeline number 2 for Cal and Mike. Like what would we be doing?
Yeah, I'd probably be a writer of some kind.
Yeah, for interesting. Sure. What about something that's not even close to that? Is there anything like a cook or
yeah, no, I've already got that. Two things. First one is a doctor.
Oh.
I've always wanted to be able to be a doctor. I have no problem with guts and gore and
You just want to be fucking power tripping all the time, or?
No, I love the idea of the knowledge of medicine. It's not even, like, I mean, I, of course, want to help my fellow man and all that shit, but, you know what I mean.
You see how he just laughed at that sentiment? I just picture Mike fucking looking over, like, a dying person. He has the needle, and he's like, I could just not make it in time. And they're like, clutching their chest. Like,
we're playing jokes on them.
And you're just like, tell no one. And
this drug will only work for 30 minutes. You won't get the next one.
Yeah, like here's a mad doctor.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't
But I really love medical knowledge. Like I love the idea of biology, but it leads into my second one, was I would always wanted to be a biologist, but like researching genetics.
Oh wow, yeah, really?
Yeah, I've always loved genetics. Like my favorite sector of science is genetics. Like I've been researching CRISPR on my own even now because I love the whole idea that CRISPR exists.
I really like some biology, but I've never been encapsulated by the entire thing.
It was the only thing in school, and so like I was really good in my science class. I aced every science test I ever took. But biology was like I just read the chapter once, and then I would be like going up to the teacher and being like, "What about this?" And he's like, "That's really advanced." And I was like, "I so got it." So I definitely even currently have a connection to that realm of science. Plus, it obviously would deal with math at some point, of course, but biology was the furthest away. Well, I like physics a lot. It took away from like complex equation side and was more about study and observation and classification and figuring out all those pieces.
See, that's the thing. I like that stuff a lot. Like I just never knew what I could do with it. I'd be like, I get to work at a zoo. I don't
Yeah,
really know.
like for me, it was a big thing with genetics, getting into genetic engineering, figuring out how to like break down DNA code.
You want to make the next like man-sheep clone thing.
Yeah, I want to make us live for like 200 years without ever worrying about cancer and all that shit. Like,
you want to turn us into Terminators.
Oh yeah, and like I want to be like, you know, I want to have the fucking skin of a gecko so I can crawl on a wall. Like, yeah, totally.
Mike wants to be fucking Dr. Connor from Spider-Man.
Or the real way the Spider-Man.
He's getting all scaly.
Oh,
well, there we go. That went faster than I thought.
Yeah.
All right, next up. This is a doozy of a question.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Narrative in games. What is more satisfying? A game where the main character comes pre-built and well-realized, something like Final Fantasy X, God of War, or one where a player steps into a blank slate, like in Skyrim or World of Warcraft? Which side has the advantage when it comes to making a memorable experience? Start. Do you want to go first, or you want me?
Well, do you have a point to one that you like more?
They're both good. The thing is, I think for memorability, I always think you crafting your own stories is more memorable. But I think that's always like less interesting for other people to hear. You know, like
so
I'm not sure people care as much when you say like, oh man, this Left 4 Dead run and I did this and that, and like most you can do is like, oh cool, that sounds neat, and then that's all you get out of it. Whereas like if me and you have a shared experience like with Final Fantasy 15, we can both relate to that stories in different ways and discuss
the experience that it had as an impact on us.
Yeah, exactly. Like they both have advantages, but as for being memorable, I kind of think pre-built story like
I prefer pre-built.
I think pre-built are more memorable, but like there's always moments to you that you're like, this is memorable to me, but like no one else.
Gaming experience wise, I can clearly straight out the gate say I prefer a pre-built story, right? Like I connect to the Final Fantasy, the list you gave out, God of War, etc. Like I love that pre-built story. I want to be that character. I want to get lost into it. My best gaming experience, as I've repeated many times, was getting really sick on Xenogears and thinking I was the main character.
Yeah,
right? Like that experience to me is something I've always kind of chased. I love falling into that person. Filling in the blanks and stuff like Skyrim and Fallout and all that stuff. I get everyone going like, oh, I made my stats into like this stealth guy, but I made myself retarded, so I was like an invisible retard or something, right? Like,
yeah, and they're going through. They're making fun experiences for themselves, but
and
then
they're walking around and they're going through their videos and they're describing the story, but they're just like looking at things. They're like, this skeleton is Joe, and Joe was my friend before the explosion. I'm like, I get the D&D kind of component of it, like you choose your own and make your own adventure. That seems really neat, but you know, I think as a creative, since I spend every day trying to figure out how to make those stories appear on a piece of paper, I don't want to make up a story. I want someone to tell me a story.
Me too. I've always felt that way, even about like create your own levels in games and stuff, which is why
I do it.
I'm just like, I don't want to fucking waste my creative time doing that.
Yeah, like this is not useful. I could draw a better level. Let me just go do that on my own for my fucking job.
Yeah,
like,
it's always it was always a little frustrating to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are like again memorable experiences you have with maybe even with other people, like in the case of Left 4 Dead, but.
Yeah, but Left 4 Dead's different. Like, I mean, if it's a party game in that sense, right? Like, even Mario Party, when you make a whole joke about, like, making Peach, like, the bitch, and all your friends are trying to, like, destroy her, and she's the only AI character.
Yeah, you're all ganging up on the AI or something.
Yeah, like that's funny, because it's, like, your friends are together, but you're making more of a story between yourselves. You're not making a story about the game.
Yeah, but the question is saying, what's more memorable?
Oh, I mean, full stories. I remember today about fucking... Even Dante from Devil May Cry. It's not the most complex story in the universe. Like...
No, he's Sparta's son.
Yeah. And he goes around and he likes rock and roll and killing things. Like, that's about it. But I remember that more from a silly scene of him riding a pizza around a room. Which he literally did.
It was a good time.
Yeah. But I remember that so vividly compared to how many different stories there could have been in Skyrim or Fallout. Yeah, because like I watched Felicia Day. She did the Skyrim like vlog video thing, right? She just was like walking through her Skyrim life.
Yeah,
right. And she's like, and this is my husband, so and so, and I'm like,
no one cares.
No, yeah, I'm like, this is so dumb. Your dude is sitting in a chair and you're recording a video of you walking around, like. But if I'm going to watch someone play something and they're like, "Oh my god, this boss!" Like,
yeah, you know. I think I was falling on your side about like pre-built stories, just because you can share them with other people easier. Yeah. Everyone's like kind of on the same page. You know what happened. Like,
and even then, you get more interesting contrast for it. Because like if you go to someone and you play Skyrim and they're like, "Oh, I was like this giant barbarian and I played it like as if I was conquering everyone," and they're like, "Oh, that's funny. I played it as this, right?" That's the story they ever share, and that's not just to me. This is to those people. That's way more interesting, but. To me, what's more interesting is coming back and like someone wrote on Facebook and goes, "Oh my god, the ending of Final Fantasy 15," and I'm like, "Oh my god, that was amazing!"
Yeah, exactly.
And then we're both like talking about what it meant and how it impacted us. And I was crying more about the brotherly love, and he was crying about the sacrifice that fucking main character made.
Spoiler alert.
That's barely anything. Just the sacrifice he made. That's literally on the box art.
Final Fantasy spoiler alert. Final Fantasy 15.
The box art says sacrifice and brotherhood.
No one knows.
Yeah.
No one knows. Keep it secret.
No, that's definitely more of my connection.
Yeah, no, I agree for sure.
Yeah, but like, have you ever had any like times where like you maybe felt a story in an open game was more interesting, like in your Fallouts?
Yeah, but it's all built on like funny moments, like you said, where I made a character who was stealth and explosives, and my intelligence was very low, and that amused me to go out throughout the world that way. But you know, that's interesting to me and funny to me, and like, it's funny to you right now, but like I can't tell you much more about that. You know what I mean?
No, and that's the thing. All I see
and I always
like
remember that run through.
It's like seeing you as that character, kind of being a dork, right? Like that's funny to me, but like it's not like the grand adventure. I'm like, what's the end game? You're gonna spend the entire game
I just
being
did the
an idiot.
same Fallout missions everyone else did. You know?
Yeah. Oh.
All right, there you go.
Alright.
Okay, next up. In-game pet peeves, such as bad save spacing, unskippable cutscenes.
Is that a question?
What are yours? What are your game pet peeves?
Alright, go on. Well, like classically, yeah, saving games. I'm so glad that's done.
Yeah, so
save
we never
points,
have to worry about that again.
Save points ever again, and memory cards.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Fucking memory cards. Do you remember how many you used to have because either they'd get corrupted or they'd break or you'd lose them or something?
I hated the GameCube's memory cards. They were terrible. They were like, this takes up like all the blocks of data. And
Yeah.
Fuck off. Fucking Animal Crossing or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, unskippable cutscenes is one that still gets me sometimes. You're just like, oh, really? This is the game that doesn't have an unskippable cutscene? And it only ever bothers me when, like...
Metal Gear Solid had unskippable cutscenes, didn't it?
5?
Yeah.
5 had so few, I don't even remember. 5 was like...
No, it was 4 then. That was the big one.
4 was probably, yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably, I think you could pause them, but like, I don't know if you could skip them.
Actually, for me, like, unskippable cutscenes can be annoying if they're in the context of, like, Metal Gear, where they're sitting for fucking 25 minutes and they're just the model standing still. But what got me more was Metal Gear Solid 2 that was riding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fucking communicator codex coming up, and they just dropped the sequence, and both characters are standing, and it's just or even just the two heads, doesn't matter.
Yep,
and the codec is just ramping on, and there's no speed up text option.
You just gotta mash X.
Yeah. Worst one for that was Xenogears, which had more text than the fucking Lord of the Rings trilogy altogether. And it would go by, but it would go...
Oh my god.
And if you push the button that could go faster, it just went... So it wouldn't even fill a whole paragraph in one little like speed up click. And it was so much dialogue. And sometimes it slowed down, which was in the game. It wasn't like my machine slowing down. It was just the game was programmed not well so it slowed down the text sometimes.
Oh.
And it would do it slow for like 4 words. Run, Faye. Run. And it wasn't like doing it for dramatic effect. It was a fast moment. And it was like going slow. And you're like, yo! That's dead now, but... Or...
Mostly dead.
Mostly dead.
I can't really think of one that
Some games have, yeah.
One that bothers me is either no fast travel in an open world game or inconvenient fast travel where like you gotta go somewhere to fast travel.
I think it's more fair to say inconvenient because most games have fast travel now, but yeah.
Mafia 3 didn't.
Didn't?
Yeah, it doesn't. I didn't play that one, but I heard it didn't. That almost like soured the game on me. I was like,
yeah, Watch Dogs 1 had that. I mean, it was actually strangely easy to get around. I think it had a fast travel option where you could click different spots. Maybe.
I think it might have. I don't remember.
I don't remember. But most of the time you spend most of your fucking time driving, which they were all about, like, drive around Seattle or whatever. And you're like, that's the most exciting city.
Yeah.
No offense to Seattle. It's actually quite nice. But you know what I mean. Like, it's just a town.
Well, I think that's what Mafia 3's thing was. It was like, look how good we rendered this entire city. And you're like...
Yeah. And they're like, we spent all this money on actually finding local Seattle bands to make your radio play, so you have to drive the car and listen to our bands.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what it feels like, right?
I did find 2 bands on that radio that I actually now listen to and follow. They're amazing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Another, like, even Final Fantasy 15, just, like, the incredibly, like, low barrier they put over your, like, fast traveling, where, like, okay, we can go here, but it costs you 10
Have you
gil.
had an accident on your auto-driving in that game yet?
No.
No? I had 2. I have a friend who recorded a few, which were pretty fucking awesome, where his like car literally just took off into the air. But
no, I didn't see that.
I had one where it was auto-driving, and then it stopped right before a dirt road, and I'm like, what are you And the car went by. And I'm like, oh, okay, a car went by. And then it just took off down the road, but it didn't account for the other car right behind it. So I just front-ended it. We just went wham into each other, and my car flipped and rolled over, and my characters were just standing outside now. They're like, like as if it's like some freak accident. They landed on their feet when they were flipping.
I've come up with a new recipe.
Yeah. But yeah, like no, I agree. Like the travel in open world sometimes is really annoying because the way we tackle travel in open worlds in some of the older games was always with superpowers. Spider-Man was no problem. I would swing that city forever. You know?
That's true.
Fucking Infamous, I was just like, yes, let me ride on fucking power lines for the rest of my life.
Shit, I had another one.
You did?
Shit.
For me, for other pet peeves, actually just kind of going along on...
Oh, I got one, sorry.
Yeah, go.
Fucking stealth sequences in games that aren't stealth-based. Like Wind Waker had one that was just put in there, and I never liked that sequence. Yeah. Like, it's just like,
I hate
you're not a stealth game. You don't have the mechanics for me to hide very well.
Yeah.
You know?
I hate interjected stealth, and then with you and me, we're obsessed with stealth, so we're like, we gotta not be seen.
Yeah.
And then you get seen, and you're like redoing this thing, and it's like, no way.
The mechanics are, especially with the Wind Waker, it's like, you can move Link, you're like, I can't duck, I can't fucking, do all this shit, and it's just like, and like, I like playing the more intense stealth games, like Metal Gear, Deus Ex or something, right? Like, it's always frustrating to me when there's like a stealth segment in a game.
I hate stealth games where the stealth is so fucking annoying that like, you're like, pixel toe. Your like toe pixel is sticking out, and then they're just like, you! And I'm like, even in real life, that probably would have looked like a single hair follicle. What were you looking at?
Yeah, like you would never ever notice that.
Yeah. Or dumb stuff, like in I still with Last of Us. I as much as I understand and prefer the fact that she can't be seen, the fact that she did just basically walk around with pots and pans in front of like a clicker, it was a little bit like game breaking. You're in this world and you're like, can't be seen, can't make a noise, and then there's Ellie, clang, 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 bang. Hey, look over there.
I wonder why. I was gonna say, I wonder why they couldn't have just had Ellie hang back, and then as you clear out the clicker, she comes forward. But I guess in not every instance, you're not gonna clear out every clicker, so it would still break it. If you got to the other side, there's like 5 clickers, and she's just like, damn! Yeah, I guess that would be breaking. Yeah,
because there's the one where like you're underground in the dark, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like trying to run across, and she's still on the other side. You made it to the other side, and you're like, phew! And she's like, Joel.
No.
You're like,
just run through. It's fine.
You're just like putting down the ladder, and you're like, but I'm the cure.
Yeah, it would be neat with the power of like the PlayStation 4 now and stuff. If they did have something that detected like if you clear all the clickers out, she'll stay back until you clear them all out or something, and then it's not as immersion breaking. You know what I mean?
I know it's really hard to do, but still, it just broke the game. Like every time it ever happened, I was like standing there, and I'm like, oh my god, he's right around that corner, and then she'd just walk out and go on the other side, and he was just continually going. And I'd be like,
yeah.
And then she'd just come right back around the corner, and she's like, just to show you I could.
Yes, absolutely. You're like, why did it move in that instance? There's no reason.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, next up. If you could end one franchise, what would you end?
I don't know, actually.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I've definitely seen people say Tomb Raider before, and even now.
No, not now. Now,
I would
before.
Yes. I still prefer it over Uncharted personally.
Oh, I know. I got one.
Oh,
Dragon Quest.
Whoo, harsh.
So that they stop doing it and start putting their money into the games that they aren't fucking making, like Parasite Eve and Breath of Fire and well, it's Capcom, but you know what I mean.
Is that the Enix division, or is it because they're all one company now? Is that like it's still being developed in-house at Square, taken away from Final Fantasy resources?
Yeah.
Is that how that works? Yeah?
Yeah.
That's fucking annoying.
Yeah. Yeah. So just go away.
In that case, yeah, I guess I would also want to end fucking...
Sorry, like, I know that it's a massive fan base, but fuck that thing, because you're taking it away from games that could be way better.
I mean, I know people like them, but, like, what the fuck's Battlefield doing for the world?
Yes, that's one. Yeah, the Call of Duty, Black Ops, Battlefield, all of it. Go away.
Like, they're still selling excellently, so there's clearly a lot of people who like them, but they're still on a slight decline.
They're doing a lot for gaming, which is the interesting part, right? Because technology-wise, Battlefield has some of the best graphics processing work that gets done. That information gets put out to the world. Like, they share that information very openly.
Yeah.
Like, they do a lot of real good technical work.
Mm-hmm.
But as good as some of their games are, they churn out more often than not just a 0.2 version of the last game.
Yeah.
You know,
to get, like, a real difference, you need to have skipped, like, 3 years or something.
Like, Jed's a big Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, which is dead now, though, right?
Medal of Honor only got, like, one reboot before it died.
Yeah. But, like, he was a big fan of those kind of games. And then when he started following all the Call of Duties, and then, like, he got one and then he got another one, he's like, Jesus, this is just the same game. As a matter of fact, there's less controls. And I'm just like, yeah. And he's like, so I don't want to really play anymore. Like, yeah, no, that whole series could just go away. Yeah. Gran Turismo. Just because I'm so tired of seeing it. Like, make a different racing game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I always hear, like, Gran Turismo 3 is, like, one of the highest selling games of all time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's because it was bundled with, like, every fucking PS2.
Yeah.
That everyone got for, like, an entire era.
Yeah.
I don't think it actually sold, like, maybe it did, I don't know, but, like...
I mean, like, we're not in the right circle to judge whether or not we're into, like, sports or racing games and stuff like that, but still, like, do something different. Like, I remember there were racing games back in the day that I used to play because they were just kind of goofy and fun, right? People tried to change the racing genre up, like doing Twisted Metal and all that kind of shit, or Mario Kart, right? But where are those fun racing games in there? Like, driving mechanics in most games suck so badly. They say, like, and here's your vehicle, and you're like, no! You know?
That's true.
I mean, Final Fantasy 15 had an AI-driven car, and it was still pretty dumb.
Oh, yeah, that was not... I didn't like any of that.
No.
Part of me wants to say Borderlands.
Is it still going?
Yeah, they're making a third one.
Oh.
Currently.
Okay, yes, I can die.
I honestly really like both the Borderlands games. I just hate the writing. I hate the characters. They're just all awful. I hate everything that comes out of their fucking mouths. It's just shitty memes and, like, bad jokes constantly. They got rid of the guy who wrote all it, so maybe I do want more Borderlands. Because I could seriously just play that game on mute. Like, it's just utterances.
Yeah, see, but I can't stand the game in general, so...
Yeah, so you would cleared off the Earth.
Oh, yeah,
I think I would just, like, again, fire the writer.
I played the first one, like, almost right up to the vault at the end.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, Jesus, I've had, like, 200 of the same weapon, but they each have, like, 0.2 of a difference. Yeah. And all I've done is shoot dogs, people with masks, and live in a desert. That's literally the game. I was like, nope.
2's a lot more varied.
No, and I put 2 in, and I still felt the same thing. I was just like, I was like, I didn't give it enough time, I'll admit. I probably should have given it more time. But I was, like, easily past the intro, and I was like, it's the same thing.
Yeah. No, I mean, so yeah, not your bag.
No, not my
bag. For some reason, that's, like, one of the franchises that came to mind where it's like, what could you end? And I was like, Borderlands.
Halo.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Master Chief had his run. Master Chief is done. Halo is done. That universe is done.
And I think 343 is a talented developer that should be able to work on other games.
Yeah, other amazing games. Because that's the thing. They made some incredible stuff. Let's get them some new title. Let's get them some new work. It's not about, I hate Halo. It's just, like, Mass Effect, for example. It's got to its 4th one. I think another 2 titles, and then I don't want no more Mass Effect. You know, that kind of thing. Like, it's going to be like, I've seen enough world being changed by it.
We got 2 trilogies.
Yeah, the Mass has had its effect. Like, we're good. But, yeah, no, like, Halo in itself, I'm like, how many people can look like Master Chief that you're going to design? You know, how long are you going to sit there crying over Cortana and, like, you know, like, making her wish she'd come back?
As long as we're just fucking salting the earth here. Get rid of Gears of War, too.
Oh, yeah, that's your game, though, boy.
And I really liked it. I really liked the last one. But again, they just mimicked Gears of War very well, and it was a lot of fun, but, like, that's it. That's all. There's no justification. Just get rid of Gears.
Yeah.
We ran out of time.
There you go.
Yeah. But basically the same thing as 343.
Yeah.
All right, next up. This is a follow-up to the last question. How would that affect things if that franchise never existed? Because we said so many, which one do you want to tackle, 1 or 2? Not everyone we just fucking mentioned, because we just basically scorched earth the entire games industry. We're like, get rid of everything. Fuck gaming. Call of Duty's really interesting.
Well, we could just hit even quickly on some of them, so let's just, even if we don't remember them all.
Sure, okay.
So Call of Duty is an interesting one to talk about.
Alright. So if Call of Duty, let's say that means that franchise never existed, we would not have had the big first-person shooter boom that we had.
Yeah, the impact in the long term would have been huge. The first-person shooter world wouldn't have been done. Technology-wise, the engine and the way that they figured out to just basically easily make a first-person shooter is like the same exact foundation on how we learned to make first-person shooters. It's like the first type of game we learned to make in college. The first-person shooters are super easy. Just like stick camera here, no model necessary. Put gun, you know, make velocity calculations for the bullets. You know, like that was like it. Impact done. And bounty boxes were just boxes. You didn't really have to worry. But or collision boxes too. But yeah, like they set up a lot of that, so first-person shooters would probably be a lot further behind than what they are.
They definitely would be, and maybe MOBAs would have come up sooner or something, because like that's like kind of the other big.
How is that related?
Genre. Well, I'm just because like first-person shooter when Call of Duty 4 took off. It took off. It was a huge big boom. Call of Duty was fucking the it thing from then on, like basically till now, and that was like the thing. The next thing after that I'm thinking of that got really big was MOBAs.
Yeah, but the thing is first-person shooters ran off of the bro crowd. That's how we kind of made gaming a little bit more mainstream. Was that bros could sit around and have a beer and play a game where they didn't feel like they were being a nerd, right? And it was okay to be a gamer, right? Because all of my friends who were like the bros were like, I don't play games, and they come over and they're like Final Fantasy 15 it up for like 10 hours, and they'd leave and be like, I never was here. I literally had that. But like the Halo and the competitive and the like, you know, the basically the competitive scene would be almost gone.
Yeah.
Because like it's all first-person shooter shit, and then MOBAs, right? And the MOBAs wouldn't have gotten a chance to become.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
A part of competitive gaming without the MOBA world, right? So you need a.
Would gaming have just had like a huge crash if that never happened? Like
gaming would need to have had another genre where the outlet could have been bros basically being, I beat you up enough that I could teabag you.
It might have been Gears. Because Gears was pretty big, because it was third person.
So that's the thing. It would either have fallen to a third person renaissance, which might have been fucking cool. Because, like, the third person genre needs a good revamp. Or sports games.
Oh, yeah. Sports games just got even bigger. Fucking basketball.
Yeah.
Same thing with what Gears off is the same kind of, like, effect, because there was a lot of third person shooters around that time that just mimicked Gears completely. What if we got rid of Dragon Quest? What would fucking happen?
Nothing.
No. You're fucking rude. Well, Akira Toriyama would be out of some work.
I'm sorry, it wouldn't have a huge impact on the world. It hasn't changed RPGs and the foundations.
You're not wrong.
You know, it doesn't have a visual style that no one's ever seen before and has been craving.
But Japan
fucking
loves those games. Like,
yeah.
would
you know what we probably would have done?
Country overall?
We would have just had. They would have had more free time. You know, maybe the depression rate would have gone down or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like that's all I can really think of.
Only good comes from removing that game.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's brought happiness to a few lives and maybe employed a few people, but what?
Just you saying a few, like it's not like the number one game in Japan. You're like, it's improved a few lives and employed a few people. like a few. I'm sure there's like huge teams working on those.
A couple thousand, whatever.
Yeah. Akira Toriyama, he got work every other year on those fucking games.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they might have copyrighted his style or something. Or not copyrighted it, but like...
Isn't he dead?
No, the creator of Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
No, he's not dead.
Oh.
No. He's working on Super.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I think he was dead.
I'm not really sure. We talk about him all the time.
Okay.
We always make fun of him.
Alright.
He's not dead. I think I would have brought that up by now. What else did we say we'd fucking wipe off the earth? About Borderlands, nothing would be affected.
Nothing would be affected by Borderlands.
We might have like a better Destiny.
Yeah.
Destiny didn't have the influence of Borderlands in it's anywhere.
Yeah.
What else did we say?
Don't know. What else did we say? We had another one that was really quite good to get rid of. We said
Battlefield. We said Metal.
Oh, Battlefield.
That's kind of the same thing, but Battlefield I feel like has less of an effect.
Yeah.
Than Call of Duty.
I don't know. The thing is, the games that we did pick on, like while we did Salt the Earth, we salt the earth of games that, other than the Call of Duty Battlefield one, their impacts actually aren't that large. They just have fan bases.
Yeah, that's true.
They didn't change the genre. They didn't make the world different. You know, like Final Fantasy changed the world of the RPGs. Battlefield and Call of Duty changed the face of the first-person shooter. You know, like we can go through other games like that, but at the end of the day, Gears of War, Dragon Quest, you know, like they didn't revolutionize the industry. They were just really good entries.
I still think Gears of War had an impact, but again, it was because like there were clones of it, kind of. Whereas Army of Two came out like after Gears of War. That cover-based shooting was very big after that. Oh, okay, well that's it. Next up. Do achievements promote you to play more, or do they promote trophy whoredom?
So, I can go first on this.
Sure.
I have no care about trophies whatsoever. Like, every time I play, I was a good example, just do Overwatch, because it's the only one I've ever paid attention to the trophies on. I was playing it, and miraculously getting trophies, right? And they're like, oh, you got power outage. And I'm like, what the fuck is power outage? Like, the names didn't mean anything. Some of the other ones are like, you know, 500 collected. And I'm like, okay, so I collected 500 or something. But I was like, what the fuck are these? And I didn't care, and they just kept popping up. And that was my usual life. Like they're just like they're happening in the back. I don't care about ranking myself against someone else or whether or not like because I played just long enough, because you can get trophies if you just play long enough. Basically, it's an example of who spent more time at their computer.
Well, to an extent, there are definitely ones that's like there were definitely like achievements and trophies that you couldn't get just by playing the game over and over. That you need to go out of your way to do something, or special story things like.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is like all you do is open up the trophy thing and be like, okay, so I have to do the thing that's going to take me 40 hours. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I see what you mean in that instance. I use them as a way to prolong my enjoyment of a game. If I'm really liking the game, like let's say I'm trying to think of the last game I really did it for. I'm thinking Resident Evil 5 on the 360. Me and my roommate, my former roommate, me and him just played Resident Evil 5. Like, we played it and we had so much fun. We're like, I want to play it again. It's like, okay, let's go on a harder difficulty. We'll get an achievement for it. And we'll, there's an achievement for only using handguns or something. We'll only use handguns this run. That kind of thing. Like, it was an extra challenge for us. And there was like, we never would have thought on our own to be like, let's only use handguns or, anything like that. And it was kind of like an extra little challenge for us and a little, something else to strive for. I used them in Bayonetta as well because I wanted to keep playing that game after I was done.
Isn't there that frustration for them? Because, like, there's also the whole part of, like, oh, you beat this on easy. Now you can get... not that I ever play a game on easy, but whatever. Because it is dumb. Every time I turn on easy, you're just like, wow, we push forward. They really make easy.
Yes.
But, like, you beat it on medium, and they're like, oh, so now you could beat it on hard and get another... I'm not playing your game again. Like, for an example... take like a game where you have a large amount of collectibles and things you have to do, and you have to complete it to 100% or something like that, and you're like, completed at 100% on hard mode, and I'm like, I'm not fucking running around your city again to collect all those badges.
Oh, 100% on hard mode? Yeah, no.
Like,
I mean, there's stuff I won't do either because it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I would never go out of my way to be like, do a no-die run in fucking Dark Souls or something. I'd be like, no. Me getting, like, Dark Souls is an example of, like, if I got through that game, that's good enough for me. It doesn't matter what I got.
Yeah. But I do get some of them. Like, with Overwatch, is one of the few times I've ever cared about the trophies. But they were interesting for me. Like...
they made you play in a different way. No, you were trying to aim for something,
I was trying to aim for something. So, like, they'd be like, okay, you need to use... Like, when Sombra came out for the latest character, and I was like, okay, one of the ones was to use her giant EMP blast ultimate on all 6 characters at once. So I spent a lot of time saving up the ult, which actually fucked us in the game, but... I was just sitting there going like, come on, all 6 of you, and then I'd jump in the middle and try and get all 6. And I got the achievement. But the part that gets me about it was right there at that moment was the last time I thought about trophies, and it was recently. And I did it, and I'm like, no one's looking. Like, I don't care.
Well, yeah, I'd never do it because I think someone's like looking at my profile. I also like the aspect of trophies that like I can look back through everything I've played on my PS4 now from like day one of my PS4 and see like I'm like, I'll look at, I have 78% trophies in that game, and then I look at it, and I'm like, I think did I beat that game? And I go in, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, 30 or just whatever. And I look at The Last of Us, it's like, you have 10% trophies, and I'm like, I beat that game twice, what the fuck? And I go into it, and it's like, just, all the trophies are so fucking weird or hard, I'm just like, Jesus, like, okay, I didn't even, like, for my first run through, I was like, I checked my trophies afterwards, and I was like, I only got like 2 trophies this entire, thing. It was like, it was that kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess it's also...
I like that kind of, like, record of what you've done.
Yeah.
I like just going back through and be like, oh yeah, I did play that game, and I beat it, I guess. Or I didn't.
Okay.
Why do I have 0% for this one? Like, what happened?
I don't register whether or not I beat or don't beat a game by my trophies, but alright. I don't know. I don't have a connection to it. I don't have a compulsion to it. But the question was, like, what is the impact?
Do they promote trophy hoarding?
Yes.
I've never personally met anyone I've never personally met anyone that does it, but I know there are people out there who just play bad games to get their trophy score up.
Yeah.
Or achievement score.
Especially for the Steam community, it's particularly bad, but even on the PlayStation community, it's also really bad. I've run into people who are literally comparing it. Like, I've even had them, like, on the fucking Overwatch thing, or, like, on any, like, co-op game with them in my ear, and they're like, oh yeah, well, I've got fucking 98% trophy completion, I'm about to get the platinum. I'm like, seriously?
It's weird to me because you're right. A, who's looking? Who fucking cares?
Yeah.
But also, if I was to look, I'd be more impressed that you'd...
Keep going, you're gonna finish off your thoughts.
that you'd, you're a huge Metal Gear fan, and you have 100% in Metal Gear Solid 4 and 5, and, like, you're huge and dedicated, and you did it. Whether, or I see, and I go to the profile and see, like, you beat Avatar The Last Airbender, and it's like, oh, you beat this child's game on...
I got my first random message on PlayStation ever in my life from someone random I played with in Overwatch. And I played Anna, who's a sniper healer. She's an actually really interesting character design where she's actually a sniper, but she shoots healing bullets that heal your friends or hurt the allies.
Is that Mercy?
No, that's the angel girl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Anna's a different one. But playing her is a skill cap thing, because like it's more about aiming than just like sitting and holding a button and being like heal button, boost button, heal button, boost button. But like I'm playing her and I did a particularly good job on this levels, and I kept them all alive and we won like this last second thanks to like a couple of really good moments. And they messaged me at the end and they had checked out my profile and stuff, and they're like, why are you playing on the PlayStation when you've got all those trophies and you know you've been playing this game for so many hours? And I'm like, why are you judging me by that stupid fucking profile that I have never opened? Like, I don't know, that whole community idea for the trophy side of things, it drives me nuts. I really don't.
No, and I also...
If I could turn off achieving trophies, I would.
Oh, you can. It's in settings. You can turn it off. You can turn off trophy notifications.
Now I look dumb.
Your wishes come true. Well, I was gonna say, even when I was playing Final Fantasy 15, I know you were playing it. I know Peps was playing it, so I would.
That's cool.
Occasionally, I would just go and just. I'm like, I wonder how far he is. Like, I haven't talked to him in a couple days, and I see like, oh, he's beaten chapter 11, cool. And he's
I'll get that.
Yeah, and then like after that, I beat the game. I looked and I was like, oh, he beat like Adamantoise or something.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Like that kind of thing. I like that.
Peps beat Adamantoise?
No, I don't even know. I just pulled that out of my ass.
Okay. I was like, Jesus, dude. I hope none of us are hardcore playing that one that much.
No, I don't think he did.
Okay.
I think he might have tried to fight it. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like shit like that too, where it's like my friends are playing a game and I just get to see like how far they are in, or like did they get like this one or whatever, you know, how they playing the game. You know, if you're playing Deus Ex, I could look at you and be like, oh, he did this thing in that branch of the game, or you know, whatever. Mass Effect, you could be like, oh,
you're right. I love watching, like, and opening up my feed and seeing, Cal just achieved whatever in Deus Ex and all that shit. I do like that part a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it keeps you updated. Next question. What's the future of the mobile market like?
What is the future of the mobile market? So the future of mobile market can include the phone and handheld devices, like Game Boys and shit.
Oh man, I think handheld, like DS. Well, PS Vita's dead. No, there's no question.
No, there's no question.
That's never been alive. But I'm pretty sure Nintendo right now is saying like, oh, the 3DS has a long lifespan in front of it. Don't worry about it. If the Switch, if the Switch is successful, it will not. They said the exact same thing about Game Boy Advance when they released the DS. They were like, it's the three pillars of Nintendo. We have the GameCube, the Game Boy Advance, and now the DS. And we were not going to let the Game Boy Advance die. And like, as soon as DS was successful, they're like, it's dead, buried in the ground, never going to talk about it again.
Yeah.
So I feel like if Switch is successful and it's kind of a mix of a handheld and a console, we're never going to see a dedicated handheld machine again.
Oh yeah, no, this is the end of the dedicated handheld machines. If Nintendo doesn't do Game Boys anymore, this is it. That was the last one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so the handheld device world is down to the Switch, and if they continue that at all, is it going to be a question in the future? Because this console is a make or break deal for them.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, if that's the case, then they will remove themselves from the console market for sure. Whether or not they move on to doing a handheld portable device as their last ditch effort, there's a good chance. Mm-hmm. Like if let's say the Switch isn't enough to save them, or is a flop, or whatever, right? We're not calling that at all. It could easily be a huge success. But let's just say it is. They would probably make one more attempt.
They might try
my last console, one more mobile thing.
Yeah, the 3DS2 or something. Yeah,
whatever the fuck is it. The Game Boy, super ass. I don't know.
Yeah, the Game Boy super ass. You ever seen butts in this resolution? Butts.
It's got like a little gelatin butt pad on it that you can smack.
Perfect.
Yeah,
that's what Nintendo's gonna do. As for the iPhone and stuff, I feel like that market is just so saturated with like
shit.
Just shit games and just tiny little weird.
How fast it all comes out. It was funny. It was a weird oxymoron for it, right? Because like they made the fucking making mobile games super easy. They're like, look at this 10-year-old. They made a mobile game. It was a shitty mobile game, but a 10-year-old literally made a functioning game that you can play on your phone, right?
And the things that get big are shit like Flappy Bird. Flappy Bird wasn't even good.
No. Cut the Rope deserved a little bit of respect. I actually kind of like that one.
There are totally worthwhile experiences to be had on the iPhone. I really liked Tomb Raider Go, Hitman Go, and Deus Ex Go. Yeah. Enjoyed all those games.
But I always had a thing against like Fruit Ninja where I'm like, you're whipping your thumb around.
Yeah.
Like, for hours.
Yeah, you're just cutting fruit. That was really nothing.
And it wasn't even collecting the bottom. You were just making garbage.
It's kind of what it was.
Yeah. Like, there was a goal, like, as you cut it, you were making more food for your customers or something. It would have made it more interesting, but they were just like, nope, cut shit.
Like, I don't know what the end game is for, like, let's just say this trend continues. I don't really know, like...
But the market's
going to keep filling up with shit, but, like, the cream of the crop's always going to pile at the top, or not cream of the crop, but the big stuff. Angry Birds 17 and fucking whatever else, right? Like, it's all going to...
Yeah, but those games don't make the money they used to, either.
No, I bet they don't.
No. Like, the days of Peggle and Angry Birds and shit like that, that isn't happening anymore.
Do phones get advanced enough that people are playing, like, Uncharted 2 on their phones, or, like...
Well, that's the thing. The device itself doesn't work. So I bought Final Fantasy 3 on the iPhone.
There's a couple different ones on the phone.
But it was like, fucking whatever. Still, they charged way too much. It was like $20 for a fucking app.
Final Fantasy 9 is like $19 on iPhone.
I can't believe that's on the iPhone.
I know!
I can't believe it's on the iPhone.
But it's also not an experience I want to have on my phone or on
I'm
the go.
playing it. It's one of my favorite games ever, Final Fantasy 3, and I'm talking US 3. I couldn't stand controlling it. And I was doing this before the iPhone, like 6S, like the new bigger phones. It was a tiny little fucking tiny thing, right? And then doing that. And I used to have an iPad to play them. Same thing. Piece of shit. Like, holding an iPad in your hands for long enough. And the thing is because the controls are giving you the joystick on the screen on this side and the buttons on this side, you can't just put it on your lap and tap. Right? You have to hold it, which is just cutting metal into the side of your fingers with the weight of the fucking pad. And you're like, carpal tunnel and cutting. And
it's not a good time.
No, so, like, I don't see... I mean, the casual market may always exist because there's definitely people out there.
I definitely think it will, yeah.
But I don't know if it's ever going to have the power it had ever again.
No, I think that's over.
It's too quick of a turnover, too, because look at Pokemon Go. Even though they fucked the game up, that thing should have survived anything. And it didn't.
I know they released Gen 2, and I still haven't heard much about it.
No. Yeah. I don't even see anybody have it open ever anymore. I haven't heard anyone... Like, I walk through the college, 30,000 people pass me in a day, and I hear more about fucking League of Legends and Overwatch.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck, that was fast.
Huh?
Was that 5 minutes?
That was 5 minutes.
Jesus.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Fuck mobile.
Yeah. You're having fun taking mobile? Fuck you.
Alright, last one.
I wonder if we sound really bitter all the time.
No. Well, here's a bitter question for you. When will the superhero bubble pop? Or will it?
I have doubts that it would, like, pop, right?
Like, I don't think we're ever going to see, like, the Avengers film fucking flopped.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't think we're going to get that.
No. I do see a gradual decline, though, to a point, so more like a deflation. Like a... as it goes down.
Sure.
But, like, I see it going down, and eventually people are just going to stop attending, you know?
I think after Phase 4 is over, because we don't know what's after for Marvel for that, you know?
They do. They have a very clear plan. They're going to announce it soon.
Oh, they better.
Yeah.
I think once after that, we just don't know what it's going to be, so, like, all of a sudden everybody's going to start seeing Inhuman names pop up, the Black Bolt movie, or whatever, right, you know? Is that going to keep the public's interest, or they want to see more Iron Man?
I almost personally want the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe to end at Thanos.
Yeah, at Infinity War or something.
Yeah, and then give me that as one of the greatest Marvel, or one of the greatest movie collections ever made. You know, I couldn't imagine being around for a cinematic universe that spanned almost 20 years or more, and had some of the greatest films, minus one, you know, ever done, or two.
Wait, what was the second one?
Thor and Iron Man 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Thor: The Dark World, sorry.
Yeah.
But like the greatest cinematic universe, greatest collection of movies ever done, with the grandest scale of anything ever done. Kevin Feige can finally go to bed. You know, like, I like that idea a lot. You know, but at the same time, it's never going to happen. There's going to be another phase.
There's going to be another phase.
And it will deflate. It won't pop. It'll just...
Yeah, right now, I think maybe after Infinity War and the Thanos, the whole thing is over, I think maybe we start seeing it deflate a bit. But I'm surprised every Marvel movie, I thought Ant-Man was really going to flop, and it didn't do as good as some of the other ones, but it still made quite a bit of money. And Doctor Strange, I thought, was going to maybe not do that well, but it made lots of money.
But, like, what you're probably seeing as well is that in our average crowd people, they're all starting to do not another fucking superhero movie. a lot, and some of them are getting really mad. They're like, I won't even go anymore. You know,
I haven't seen any of that personally, but
I've seen so much of it, and I'm talking in a crowd of like 40 and above, right, and non-comic book 40 and above people. Like, my dad's been a comic book person with me, and he's just like, it doesn't matter what happens. And he's like, person in suit, have you seen it? Like, it's just excited. But Jed is like, doesn't go to the theater with me to any of them anymore, even though I'm like always demand to go to the theater for a Marvel film, which is now like Cal's my only company. But like, he won't bother going anymore, and he's just like, I just don't care. I'll wait for it to come on rental. I don't want to see it, right? My mom's just like, kind of like, all right, I've seen superhero movies. I'm done. Like, people are moving on to a point where they're just already getting tired of it. That does not mean that the mass populace is still extraordinarily pleased with getting these movies continually, and they're not excited for every single entry that's coming up. Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be a huge hit.
Oh, yeah.
But, I do see a deflation after this what is it called again?
Marvel Cinematic Universe?
No, the
superhero bubble?
this arc?
Oh, yeah, sure, this arc, the Thanos arc.
Yeah.
Once this whole thing is over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can start seeing it deflate after that once there's no...
Because, like, what are they going to care about? Like, we've been building up for Thanos for 20 years. You're going to wait another 20 fucking years to find out whether or not Galactus is a problem?
I'm really honestly interested in what they could do after that,
Yeah. Like, well, they would have to go to, like, the Eternals and Galactus.
Yeah.
For, like, that kind of level of threat.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The Infinity Crusade or the Infinity War was the culmination, highest point of like the entire Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's such a neat thing too, because we really got to see all these origin movies. Like, if they all of a sudden stop and then in 5 years reboot everyone and do origin stories again, we're not going to be interested at all.
No.
Well, I don't want to say that, but
but they're always rumoring that they're going to kill the Avengers. Everyone's like, they're going to kill off this entire team of Avengers, which they're not going to do. But even if they just retired the whole team and they're all like, you know what, we saved the universe and now it's time for the new guard, no one's going to stand around and wait for the origin movies for the entire new guard.
Exactly.
You know?
I don't know if they could do it again.
No. Even the Netflix universe, like we can't have any more Defenders get introduced after Iron Fist. If anyone else, I don't care. There should only be 5 superpowered beings in the universe, because I don't want to watch another person come up from the ground up and being like, I don't know if I want to be a superhero. I'll be a superhero.
There's only so much that internal struggle you can see.
Yeah.
No. What if DC, if they keep going so poorly, do you think they caused the whole thing to collapse? It's just one disaster after another?
No, but I see them collapsing DC, the company.
They just stop?
I can see them actually collapsing the company.
Oh, wow.
The comic sales going to zero.
Hey, watch out!
Well, that's it. Ending on a negative DC note.
No, but like, if they failed, then I would see, because the thing is that they collapse all the movies, they lose their money on that.
Yeah.
DC's now like selling their properties off to everybody and all their dogs and everything.
It'd be crazy. I was gonna say, just because they have Batman, they could just, if this whole thing collapses, they just start making solo Batman films for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
They recast Christian Bale, try to get rid of nostalgia, and be like, we're gonna try and get Christopher Nolan back too, or like whatever. I don't know. Like,
I don't know what they could do. But, I could see that DC could fold themselves in. They could be the situation that Marvel was literally in before Disney.
Yeah, that's when they sold off all their stuff way before that. That's why Sony, there's Spider-Man at Sony, and...
DC never got to that point quite as close. They got close to that, but never quite as close. Like, they would start selling off their properties and start selling off everything, and then suddenly they're no longer the company they were. It's a chance.
Oh, yeah, there's
and that would deflate and destroy the superhero bubble.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that would be fucking weird.
But the thing about the whole bubble is I'm not actually even afraid of it dying. Like, I'm kind of like, all right, all those years of me being like, superheroes are cool, I got approved. I'm good. Like, I don't need their approval anymore.
Yeah, I just can't see... It'd be crazy if there was a major one that was like, fucking Iron Man 4 comes out, and it's like, that flopped, and you're like, what? That'd be crazy.
Oh, it would.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Oh, it would, though.
What, it would flop?
Yeah.
You don't think it would do well monetarily?
Oh, monetarily, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like...
Financial by the book.
Financial, yeah. Like flop.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because then again, they'd be spending most of their time praying to earn back the money they'd pay fucking Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
250 million in sales. We're halfway there.
Yeah.
Fucking
Robert Downey Jr. All right. Well, that was 5-minute warning.
Yeah.
I think that was... How long was that? That was Jesus.
That was Jesus?
Oh, no, it just says an hour and 10 minutes. I don't know how long we were recording for.
Oh. I was like, that was Jesus. So I'm like, what?
All right, so
while we were podcasting, our Lord and Savior rose back up.
Yeah. He wanted to see the podcast. He wanted to see what the hullabaloo was about.
Yep.
All right. I guess that's it. So if you guys like this segment, we want you to email us. Email us a bunch of questions so we can put together another 5-minute warning. And you can do that at meetpensandpixels@gmail.com.
You got it right.
Or you can tweet me. I'm at TheCalG. Mike is at Mike Kent Draws. You can ask us anything on Twitter.
Yep.
Or Pens and Pixels account, Pens and Pixels.
Pens and Pixels and...
Do we have a Tumblr account?
No.
I was going to say Tumblr's actually pretty good for asking question shit, you know?
Oh, maybe we'll make a Pens and Pixels one. But we do also have our personal one, so Mike Kent Draws on Tumblr, and same thing, or Cal is probably at the CalG.
Yeah, the CalG.
Yeah. So find us on all major social media. It's pretty much linked through everything. And you can make sure to like and share and subscribe to this on SoundCloud and iTunes. Give us a rating. Drop us a comment. Give us all the love.
Whatever love you want.
Yeah, all of it. Just give us a great big... Oh, I'm going to go something bad with that, but...
I honestly thought you were just going to say fruitcake. Don't know where you were going.
Fruitcake?
Yeah.
How do you get the fruitcake?
I don't know. Great big, and then I just thought fruitcake.
There's no connection there. Give us a great big fruitcake?
I don't know where you were going.
Where were you going with the fruitcake? That's more interesting. That is actually more disturbing. What do you do with fruitcake?
You seem to back out of your statement, so I thought you were going somewhere gross, and I was like, fruitcakes aren't gross. Well, they kind of are. Depends which one you get.
Yeah, but there's no logic.
I didn't think you were going logical. Again, you backed out at the last minute.
I'm not even sure if fruitcake counts as like a gift. Fruitcake's kind of that thing you show up with, and then you just kind of piss everyone off.
I see a joke being made about people getting fruitcake and being pissed off about it. I've never personally had a bad fruitcake, but
what, like one of those dried out things with like the dried fruit in it kind of shit?
Yeah. It's like a cake with fruit in it. I've never had one that I was like, ugh, no. I like them.
No, they're not gross.
Yeah, they're not like. But I always feel like you get in like cartoons even or something. They like, here's a fruitcake, and it like hits the fucking table with like it's the sound of cement or something. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. No, but it's true.
It was a joke I never understood. Because I was like, fruitcake is delectable.
I think it only came because everyone kept handing it out. Why are we discussing fruitcake? Why did this even come into your brain? Do you want a fruitcake?
No, not even particularly. Hey, Watson. You want to say goodbye to the nice people?
Give us a woof.
Ugh. You just licked me in the mouth. All right.
That's the end of that.
Goodbye, everybody. Farewell, and good fruitcake.
Good fruitcake.